Well, hello. Hello, 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 my fellow sensitive people. Thank you so much for your love and support of this channel as we boldly march towards 100,000 subscribers. I'm excited. Our numbers are back up. I am Dr. Whimsy Anderson. I'm a naturopathic doctor, but I'm also a remote viewer, medical intuitive, and a tarot card reader, Vedic astrology as well. A lot of you have been reaching out to me asking if I can talk a little bit about the outbreak of Ebola that has currently taken hold of uh, it's outbreak that's taking place in the Congo. People want to have some basic information about that. Excuse me, and I'll be happy to answer some basic questions about Ebola. Bundi Bugyo virus. The Bundi Bugyo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Bugyo? Bundi Bugyo. Bundi. It depends on. The point is this. It's a very serious virus. The mortality rate is between 25 to 75%, depending upon your age, your health, the viral load you receive. It can be transmitted through body fluids, blood, vomit, diarrhea, etc. And where they're seeing the outbreak currently is in the Congo, which has a lot of unrest right now. The problem we're having has to do with not only the fact that we're dealing with a very serious outbreak, but the fact that the CDC right now is not operational in a lot of respects. There were a lot of slashes in jobs so that it was down to the bare bones. One of the concerns, those of us who are concerned about public health, the concern we had was that this could happen, that we could find ourselves in a situation where there's a pandemic and we are ill equipped to deal with it. Unfortunately, this strain of Abundi Bugyo virus, this strain of the Ebola virus, we don't have a vaccine for it. There's no, I'm sure they're working very quickly on a vaccine. In May of 2026, the risks are very, very low, but those risks could change very quickly if this outbreak continues to rise. Of course, right now, Robert Kennedy Jr. is heading the CDC, and a lot of people feel that he doesn't have any medical training and he's really not the right person for the job. We do know that when Donald Trump was overseeing as number 45 president, the COVID crisis in the United States between 2020 and 2021, the United States saw some of the highest rates of mortality from COVID than any other country just about in the Western world. And trying to assess why that was, probably mixed messaging is one of the things. Oxford did a study on it, telling people not to worry, telling people to remove their mask, not to wear a mask, actually increased the number of exposures. And that was certainly one of the reasons why people were concerned. And people felt that it was definitely a factor. That mixed messaging was one of the factors that led to the reason why we had such high numbers here in the United States. You have the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world that want to just concentrate on America first, America first, America first, with no understanding that America doesn't live in a bottle. America is not an island unto herself. And it's pretty frightening when you think about the fact that there are people sitting in Congress that don't have basic public health educations. They don't seem to understand how goods and services get transferred from one part of the world to the next. and that when you have a global supply chain problem, that's going to influence the prices of things downstream, like why prices are going up so high here in the United States. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we have supply chain problems with supplies coming in from countries outside the United States. The fact that the Strait of Hormuz is being contested, that's a trade route that we had predicted there would be fighting over that. Who's going to get control of that trade route? If you think that America just lives in a cave and that what other people are doing is not your business and not going to have an impact on you, then a crisis like the Ebola crisis is definitely a wake up call for those individuals. The difference between something like the COVID crisis, the COVID pandemic, and the crisis that we could be facing with Ebola, with the Bugio virus, is that it's the mortality rate. Because if you're looking at COVID, it was about a mortality rate of 1 to 2% of the people that got COVID. A lot of disinformation was being spread via social media. No big deal. Don't lose any sleep. COVID's not going to hurt you. 20 to 30% more people dying here in the United States than in other countries that had stricter policies. So many people wanted to sue the Trump administration for that they blamed the deaths of their partners and family members because the mixed messages from the Trump administration had caused people to place their lives and the lives of loved one at risk and had taken people's lives, or in some cases cost them their health. And the concern I had, and I had talked about this in previous conversations, was if we don't get our act together with the CDC, what's going to happen when something like Ebola breaks out? And we're not talking about a mortality rate of 1 to 2%. We're talking about a mortality rate of 50%. And you're talking about a condition that's a virus that's being spread through blood, saliva, and feces. So it can get on food. Uh, it can travel very, very quickly. And that's the other thing about Ebola, is that it can travel very, very quickly. So we're going to go ahead and we'll just throw some cards. This is strictly for entertainment purposes only. And let's take a look at what we find. And what can you do to protect yourself from Ebola risk? Who's going to be at risk? The viral load. If you have a high viral load, more viruses in your system, you're going to have a stronger immune reaction than, say, if you had a mild exposure. So you have to think about the load of the virus hitting and the previous health of the individual. Did they have an autoimmune condition? Those people are going to be at risk. Seniors are at high risk. People that don't have an immune system developed yet, the extremely young and the elderly. Let's go ahead and do the impasse prayer and see what happens. Understand that right now the CDC workforce is down. It's been dropped by about 25% with layoffs and departures. And we have to ask ourselves again, why have we done this to ourselves? Because it's just going to take one bad virus like the Bundibugyo virus, the Ebola virus, to take us out. And that is why you have a CDC. One of the main things that the CDC does is it communicates with the World Health Organization that collects data all over the world so that we can have a global network of information about conditions like this and risk factors for pandemics. And when you cut the CDC, when you cut us off from that communication from the World Health Organization, all of us become endangered. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from spirits to access the Akashic records. Calling our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. Let's go in. What is going to happen with the Ebola crisis? Is America at danger? Can they get a vaccine fast enough? Is this a wake-up call for Americans that we have got to begin to invest in invest in agencies that keep us safe? This is why you tax the rich, so that your country doesn't go bankrupt, and so you have a functioning society. The main job of the government, most of us agree, is to protect us and to create a functional society. If we can't be protected from this sort of thing, crime, violence, health risk, then what's the point of having a government at all? Okay, where we are at right now, the base of the matter has to do with the fact that it feels to me like people just walked off their jobs. It feels to me as if there was this look, this is like a child. When you go into the energy of 45, 3-year-olds don't think about tomorrow. They don't think about the consequences. They don't have the mental capacity to think about what's going to be happening 20, 30, and 40 years from now. That everything we do today is going to have a boomerang effect. But the main thing that I get when I go into this, the base card of the matter or the base we need to talk about over this issue is the card of the 8 of Cups. And this is kind of like abandoning the work. It's when you simply leave your desk and you walk off and you haven't completed the work. Some would say you've gone off to find the 9th cup, but most people see it as you've just walked out of the job. It feels to me, and this is what people felt in 2020 and 2021 when the pandemic broke out and there was so much disinformation, and there remains disinformation on Facebook being disseminated. And I think that Facebook has to be held accountable for that. I'm glad that YouTube was very proactive to put up fact checking when people would put out disinformation about this stuff, because people got killed. Yes, COVID was a real crisis. Yes, COVID really did kill people. That's hard data. It's irrefutable. If you got a mild case, it could be, excuse me, that you have a strong immune system or you got a low viral load. It's one thing if you get blasted by a huge load because, say, you're a healthcare provider and people are coughing in your face, and somebody who gets a very mild exposure to the virus because they've wiped their nose and their hand maybe touched something that had some of a viral load on it. So those are not so we have to first, how much of this virus are you inhaling, taking in? And that was just basic information about virology that most Americans didn't have, that it's the amount that was taken in, inhaled. The second thing you have to think about is, where is the virus attaching? So you have to think about the load that you're taking in, and you also have to think about How is the virus getting into your system? Is it getting in through the tongue? A small amount through the tongue that you're swallowing, you're going to be digesting most of that virus. Or did you take a deep breath and did it bind deep in the alveoli, deep in the lungs, where a massive load was able to wreak inflammation and havoc in the body? Those are two entirely different cases. And then we have to think about the health of the host body. Number one, what was the load? Number two, how did the virus attach itself in the body? And number three, what was the health of the individual that was exposed? That's basic information that Americans need to have when you're dealing with something like that. And when the commander in chief is not educated himself and he's talking about injecting bleach, that becomes in and of itself a public health crisis. And we have to own that and we have to acknowledge that. So the first thing that I feel when I go into this, when I, look at that card and follow the energy of where my head is going, I feel like I've walked off the job. I just took off, left the data, left it on the desk, took off. The moon is there, floating in a moony kind of dream, like a little kid who's gotten bored, who's 3 years old, that wants to go play golf. Yeah, out of sight, out of mind. There are consequences for that. Here's the good news. The karma card is the high priestess. Karma card is the high priestess, and that has to do with the hidden being revealed, that the hidden will be revealed. That which is hidden will be revealed. It also has to do with mastery and expertise. The adults in the room, we don't need political infighting right now. This could explode very, very quickly, and we need to have our wits about us, and we need to inform the public. We need to communicate very actively with the World Health Organization and keep our wits about us, knowing what is going on. Where we are at right now, 10 of Cups, focus on unifying the country. So 10 of Cups is we have to get past politics and, well, he said and she said, and she's a libtard and he's a repugnant. Right? That's not helping us. That's not keeping the boat from sinking. This boat is sinking. This boat is sinking. Right? As the Eurythmics would say, wake up. You're not helping yourself and you're not helping the country. This back and forth. We have to come together and we have to just stick to the facts and stop this stupid, mind-numbing disinformation that is happening via social media. What are the facts? What's the data? What are the numbers? Do we have an active vaccination right now? And how long is it going to take us to get it? Because we need to work quick. What is the current state of the CDC? And I understand they want hearings to determine what's happening with the downfall of all these agencies. I am very concerned when I go into this energy that we are unteachable, that all of us have become unteachable. This is the danger of joining a cult. This is the danger of joining a tribe. Well, it's my tribe or your tribe. If you're so tribal, it's my tribe, right or wrong. If you're so tribal, you simply put blinders on and you refuse to look at reality, regardless of which camp you come from. That's dangerous. The crossing card is the Two of Swords. And so the crossing issue here is narrow-mindedness. La 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 la. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, and ain't my problem. Oh, come on, it's not real. It's happening far, far away from us, in a land far away. I'm just going to go back to my bean farm. That's not helping you. That's not helping me. Well, I have friends that grow soy in Wisconsin. What is above us? This situation is a rapidly moving situation. This stands in the fourth house. It's the Eight of Wands, and it could indicate that things are moving really, really rapidly over this issue. And what we're sitting in is the entire world. So the whole world is globally aware. Like I said, the World Health Organization is working continuously to try and find out what's happening with scientists, what's going. I feel like I'm directed to uh, Sweden. I feel like Scandinavian countries, possibly Switzerland, that area with the World Health Organization and this rapid development of a new vaccine. I think it's going to be coming out of somewhere. I'm feeling like Sweden, scientists out of that area. We're coming out of the emperor. So we're talking about, whether we like it or not, moving away from politics, but we're talking about somebody in the White House, according to the most optimistic numbers coming from The Economist. Donald Trump is sitting at an approval rating of 39%. This is a lame duck president. And he stands in the past in the sense that he has a waning power. His power is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And we see when we go into it that the Senate is becoming more and more frantic, more and more terrified, not just for their jobs, but because people are genuinely afraid for the future of the country. I'm feeling that the CDC is going to start rehiring and that there's going to be an emergency push through the Senate to start offering more jobs, waking up and smelling the coffee, rushing through bills so that they can approve spending to hire more research scientists. You can see the Page of Pentacles moving into sixth position. So that's really good news. That's really good news for the CDC. It means that you have people like Elizabeth Warren in the next 3 weeks saying, we need to get people in the desk. We need to get them back at their desk, and we need to bring the scientists and researchers back in, and we need to do it ASAP. Approve this bill, approve the money, and let's get those jobs back. So I'm seeing a lot of the scientists being rehired and money. This is the mistake you make when you cut public health. Don't cut public health. There's nothing more important than human life, right? There's nothing more important than human life. The last thing in the world we should be doing is cutting our health care. I mean, hello, where the truth is coming out. Archangel Michael stands in the seventh house. It just feels to me, and I'm not trying to be political, but it feels to me like an immature, irresponsible child was in the White House. And it is your responsibility, if you're in the Senate and you're in the Congress, to be the adult in the room. If you feel like that person is not the adult, then you need to be the adult in the room. And that goes for all of us. But I feel that the Page of Swords is right over us. And the crossing card right now is concerned about other lands, getting our wish, trade, importing and exporting. We're having a lot of supply chain problems as well. So again, not to reiterate, we are not an island. We are not a world unto ourselves. If we don't begin to think about our relationship with other lands, our relationship, that is part of the reason why we're seeing inflation, is the supply chain problem. That is why we're starting to see higher risk for Ebola breaking out in the United States, which could kill 50% of the American population, because we cut the relationships that were vital between ourselves and the outside world. Three of Wands is about importing and exporting. It's about waiting for your ship to come in. It is in the house of opposition, the eighth house. Okay, so we need to work this out. We need to work out this relationship that we're having with the outside world. The hope and fear at this time, a war king. The war could be bogging us down. This war is taking a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of resources. Most people feel that, excuse me, they feel that Iran had to fall because If they had gotten a hold of a nuclear weapon, we would have been held hostage by the mullahs, and that would have been the end of everything. I mean, it's a very terrifying idea. It would be like Afghanistan having the nuclear weapon. It's bad enough that Pakistan has a nuclear weapon, and there's a reason why President Obama was kept up at night by Pakistan. So the war had to happen, and if anything, it was delayed. It was delayed in disastrous ways, and we should have gone in. Some people think under Reagan we should have gone in, and we made a mistake by delaying going in. But because we delayed, that's another. Not that it was a bad idea to take out the mullahs of Iran, because we need to take out them. It was really the whole world would have been at the mercy of these lunatics. But that because we waited so long, it's become a disaster. And this may not be the right administration to handle the disaster that is the fall of the Iranian Islamic regime, right? But you have this concern. The King of Wands is the blood king. He is the blood. He is the war. He is also fighting for space, because when you think about wands, wands are time and space. We know that it has to do with time because it is wood, and wood, dendrochronology, records time. Dendrochronology, looking at tree rings, records time. So we have space and time associated with wands, and the King of Wands is always fighting for space and time. He's trapped by time. He is the color of red. He is the color of Mars. He is the color of blood. He is the Aries Leo energy, and you can see that Leo energy all over in the card. The final outcome for this situation has to do with the King of Cups, and that could be emissaries of peace, people trying to get communication back up. We are right back where we were in 2021, in the sense that the whole world is concerned about this administration and its failure to handle potentially a global crisis. I am feeling, when I go into this energy, that Trump is going to be contained. I am regarding this issue, it feels to me like he's being locked out of his presidency. And I'll tell you why. First off, over the issue of the truth, we have the Six of Pentacles. And again, that would indicate money going towards justice or money going towards this particular crisis. We're having some disastrous problems with trade. We have an inverted Empress, which would be the treasure trove that ever overflows, or wealth, and Three of Wands, which would be waiting for our ship to come in. And we can see that loss of, look, a bad relationship with the rest of the world is really costing us economically. It's the worst thing we could be doing, is thinking only about ourselves. If we're thinking about a long-term strategy for our safety and for our finances, hopes and fears, you can see here, there is J.D. Vance. I keep seeing J.D. Vance coming in and dominating or taking control of Trump. And you can see here, this is the final outcome here, the 10 of Wands. And the 10 of Wands is to be controlled or contained, or to have your world become smaller. It's almost like an agoraphobia, where you're holed up in your home, paranoid, afraid of the outside world. I know that Linda G did a lucid dreaming where she saw the fear inside the White House. I would actually agree with that, because that's what it feels like. It feels to me as Trump as if I'm getting further and further sidelined and controlled and contained. There are people that want to remove him. There are people that want to issue 26 and take him out, and it just feels to me like they have to bypass him, which is the same thing that happened with COVID in 2021. Is that they felt this need to come in and work despite him and to ignore him, that he became an obstacle to the cure. And that is what we see here. It feels to me like he is an obstacle to the cure, both when it comes to this crisis with E. coli, Ebola, but also the crisis with the supply chain and taking control of the Iran. It's just that he's not the right person for the job. That is what it feels like. And people have argued with me that they don't like JD Vance for various different reasons. This is not a promotion of JD Vance. This I'm trying to be as neutral as possible. I'm saying that those people in positions of power in the executive branch specifically are Republicans, and so they're going to be thinking in terms of the elections that are going to be coming in 2028, and they're going to be promoting their person, and their lead person right now, whether we like him or not, is JD Vance, and they want to get him in the White House as fast as possible, and they want him to look presidential as fast as possible, and they think he is more sane and more reasonable than the current president. And so that is why the powers that be, the Republican powers that be, and the people associated with this presidency are starting to isolate, control, contain, and they're starting to move towards putting JD Vance more and more in a position of power. That's what I see. Excuse me. That's what I see. I think that that is where we're moving. I don't see a major catastrophe right now with Ebola, but I do feel like it's yet again another thing that is a wake up call in this country that we need real leadership and real data and real information and not TikTok videos and firing healthcare providers and dismantling agencies that are so vital to the health of the American people. Okay, I want to thank you for watching this video with me, Dr. Whimsy. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can find all that information below this video. I'm a medical, intuitive, tarot card reader, remote viewer, naturopathic doctor, Vedic astrologer, you name it, I do it. And I would love to have a session with you. If you haven't had a chance yet to share, like, and subscribe, know that your subscriptions to this channel are greatly appreciated. All right, we are out of here. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.